Hello friends, Jennifer Pearson here, Thistle Gypsy. Taking a look at the Kuan Oracle by Alana Fairchild. And this was published back in 2012. It's interesting to me that I so rarely see it in use. It's also interesting to me that 2012 seems so long ago. The artist is Zhang Hao. And I mentioned the age because, I don't know when Alana Fairchild got started. Creating oracle decks, I have absolutely no idea because I was out of the whole burgeoning of tarot and oracle decks as it was occurring, and only returned to it about 6 years ago. Was just happily using my medicine cards and not paying much attention. But this book, I don't know, there's something that feels like it may have been an early or middle, I don't know. And I'm saying that because in the guidebook, I should just bring it up, some of them have relatively short, like this Tiger Mother has a fairly short 2 pages, and others of them are, this one is 2.5 pages, pretty dense text. And then there's another one that was even more than that. So this one's like 1, 2, 3 full pages, and then a little on the 4th. And where's the ivory? It was like, whoa, what is she doing with this particular 1, 2, 3, 4.5 or 4.25 pages. So, and then another one that's only 2 pages. So it's, and I personally, I think that that's fine, but I know that it's usually a goal with published things to have a certain level of evenness to them. And yeah, I'm not sure that I see that same unevenness in terms of the descriptions in other Blue Angel guidebooks or other books, guidebooks by Alana Fairchild. So I just had noticed that. So what I'm going to do here is a walkthrough, and then I will pull a card and read from the guidebook, so long as it isn't 4 pages long. So maybe what I'll do is pull a card and then, or keep pulling cards until I come to one that's only 2 pages long, just to give you a feel for what the descriptions are like. So there have been issues expressed in the community about this deck, claiming, since it is, it's called the Kuan Oracle, that not all of the images seem, number one, appropriate for Kuan Yin. And I don't know that the artist calls his paintings anything to do with Kuan Yin. My guess is that this is something that Alana Fairchild is doing. That she found these beautiful female images and decided to use them for a Kuan Yin deck. That's my impression generally with a lot if not all, of my Blue Angel decks is that they are curated. In other words, an amazing artist is found, and then an oracle deck is built around them, and sort of meanings are assigned to the images. And those meanings are coming from a mindset that is different from the artist, who may not have had a particular mindset when making their images. And so what you find here is, so a lot of people, or not a lot, of the people that I have watched reviews of this deck on, I don't know that all of them have this objection, but it's not uncommon for them to have an objection about the bare-breasted beauties that are in this book. Are in this deck. And another kind of issue with the deck is kind of a uniformity in the images. And there's a couple that are very similar, and this is the beginning. This is one of them. You have another image in exactly this posture, I think it is, with this little armrest thing here. At least one other, if not two. And I got this deck already knowing that I tend to have a problem with how Alana Fairchild titles her cards. But I decided to get it and give it a try anyway. Oops, don't want to get rid of two cards. So I'm not going to kind of go into, I'm not going to talk about the titles. They are numbered as well. Another criticism of this deck is that these are not, that it isn't a Kuan Yin oracle. It might be a perfectly valuable oracle, but it's not strictly, just like this, a Kuan Yin oracle. Some people say that the images strike them as a Tara, a green Tara or a white Tara, I think. I don't know how many different Taras there are. Sometimes the names seem, this is a seeming, right? I don't know what her motivation was, to do with the skin tone. I don't necessarily think that is something that's racist. I just think that, I mean, these are supposed to be God depictions, so if they have yellow or, again, green Tara, purple, whatever, they can have different colors. But I think if somebody knew, is it the hand postures that are mudras? I don't know enough about it. So you could call this a cultural appropriation deck for me, because I don't know very much about the culture. But I think that somebody who did know those might get more out of the deck than I likely will. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to use it or what I'm going to get out of it, but it had kind of lingered in my mind, and I decided to take the leap. This is another kind of position where what I'm going to call a lute is back behind the supposedly levitating goddess or figure in the card. And I will say this, beautiful art, and I could see, because there's a lot of sameness in the art, I could see how coming up with different names for the images would in fact be a challenge. So when I went through this the first time, when I looked at it, one of the things I was watching for was whether I thought there was enough difference between them. Like we have this many-colored goddess, many-handed goddess, and then this many-handed goddess. And obviously there's a color difference I'm not sure. We can't, this person appears to be standing, whereas this one is sitting. I have no idea. There's clearly a symbology behind this kind of dais or seat. And I think it has to do with lotus blossoms, but I'm not sure of that. But you can see it's everywhere in here, that was one of the artist's fixations. And you can see here is that same posture again. In this, with the little armrest, this one is distinguished by holding a little vase. So it may be that the details will, single details will make all of the difference. And this, and I can see how people would object to this particular image because she looks like she's an exotic dancer with these things pasted on her nipples. So, what is the motive here for the decisions the artist was making? And again, and then it's called Nectar of the Lotus. So are we talking about breast nectar, which appears to be off limits in this, or what? I don't know. So here's somebody who has actually a flute of some kind or some sort of woodwind instrument instead of a stringed instrument. So the sensuality of these images and the postures here, which and even the musical aspect, I think that was part of the culture, that if you were I'm not sure what the word is for the Chinese culture, if it would be like concubine, or if that's the word that we use for what was going on in their culture. I don't know. But that, learning a skill like this would make you more attractive, useful, whatever, that was something that's a relatively new knowledge for me. And so when I see these things, I'm thinking, is this a goddess, or or is it something else that's being depicted here? But then there's, like this is a very goddess with that halo around her head, and even the expression on her face. Again, she's in that posture. She has no lotus seat or whatever, but she's got that little arm thing. Clearly that one is distinguished enough just because she's floating and she's up around the moon. So people were objecting, because it is called Kuan Yin Oracle, about the sensuality, and they just felt like there were some problems with that, and I could see why they would object. But I ended up knowing nothing or very little about Kuan Yin. And certainly the first time I saw the deck, I don't think I knew anything about Kuan Yin. But I actually liked the sensual aspect of this. And so that's essentially why I ended up getting it. It's like, all right, well, I'm attracted to the sensuality of this, and so maybe it has something for me. I even find myself wondering if this thing going on with the hair indicates some sort of role or status within Chinese society. Assuming, I don't know, I was assuming that Zhang Hao is Chinese. I may be making improper assumptions. I definitely feel like I need to look this up on YouTube and hear it. So there's that same posture kind of reversed, and there's no armrest. Her arm is just cocked there with no armrest. So the other, and I believe it's also Alana Fairchild, the wild Kuan Yin. Here's my wild Kuan Yin. And I don't know if that's because, you know, it's goddesses, and so, you know, the goddesses float. They're kind of creatures of the air, but it also has lots of floating Kuan Yins. There's a book I think I'm going to get now that I have 2 Kuan Yin decks to read more about Kuan Yin. I would not say that this would be a goddess figure that I would normally feel. There's that little vase again, which I think is a common feature of Kuan Yin, little statuettes and stuff. In one hand she's got this little vessel. That I would gravitate toward. You know, I'm more of a Medusa Kali kind of gal. But I think there's value in sometimes embracing something that's very opposite. That was kind of my thinking around getting the Chicoli Tarot as well. Some people say the Chicoli Tarot reminds them of their childhood. It does not remind me of my childhood. I don't think of myself that much as being a tomboy, but I was fairly, you know, I was out in the woods and picking up toads a lot, and well, there is that in the Chicoli. There are that little animals, but I wasn't in this. No. I do feel like I'm, and again, this is 44 cards as usual with a blue angel deck. So I don't feel like I'm disconnected necessarily from my sensuality in the sense of desire or well, I am now that I'm well into menopause, but certainly prior to that I didn't really feel that. But you know, and when I go outside, you know, if there's a breeze or I'm getting my toes in the sand or whatever, you know, I'm very aware of my enjoyment of that. But at the same time, there's kind of an intimacy to these, like I'm pretty much kind of a cotton gal, even though I do sometimes like the feel of other fabrics. So I would say indulgence. I don't indulge myself in this way. Yeah, I could go on about that, but we're not going to. We're going to pick a card, and we're going to keep picking cards until we find a short message in the guidebook, relatively speaking. So what do we have? Are we back to number 1? We're on number 8. Dynasty of the Divine Mother. And if the what's said in the book doesn't really work for me, I'm not going to freak out and say, oh, I'm going to get rid of the deck. I think the images have something to give me, even if I'm not sure what it is. All right. She's too long. The Gates of Heaven. Again, we're putting it aside. How far are we going to have to go? Sacred River Yangtze. Is this it? Oh, that one's not too bad. Let me see if the next one. Number 3. Blossom Dancer. Kind of the same. Well, all right. We're just going to go with this one. It was the first one that was a tolerable length. And here it goes. I've got the phone ringing back behind me. All right, Sacred River Yangtze. The Sacred River Yangtze eternally flows and changes, just as, and that's the name of it. So just as the river flows and changes course, you too are evolving in your divine path. Veils and sheaths that once covered your soul light are being washed away. Cleansing by sacred water specifically indicates that your emotional life and your life direction are being purified and healed. Changes in the flow of energy within you and in the momentum of your life path unfolding are imminent. This is exciting. You are growing and changing, and soon your life circumstances will reflect your evolution. So that is this section here. And it's kind of nice, I have to say, that the message is straight up right here. I don't think I would have to read more than that if I didn't want to. So I'm not sure what else is going to be told here. It might be an elaboration. And then we have this healing in the Sacred River. So I'm going to go ahead and continue reading just to find out how it's different from that initial short paragraph. But I think it's great that pretty much what I think I would need is there in that short paragraph. The Sacred River Yangtze, in which beloved Kuan Yin delights, is always subtly changing course. Yeah. So there are aspects of this that don't strike me as the River Yangtze, but I'm not going to worry about that. You know, just that she's rising out of something so dark, and it's like, what is this here? But I'm just going to leave that there. I'm going to continue reading. You, like the Sacred River, are changing to... I'm just looking here for a second to say, is this an exact restatement of the first paragraph? But it's not. Your life direction is going through subtle realignments or even in the midst of a far more obvious change. You are encouraged to trust in the natural unfoldment? How about unfolding of this process and to allow it to work its way through you and your life. The Sacred River Yangtze, and of course I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that correctly, is an extension of the intelligent guidance of the Divine Mother, her hand reaching through your soul, that's kind of weird, and guiding you towards your highest destiny. She helps the higher self release any impurities which it no longer needs to contain. In doing so, there can be a period of spiritual release and even physical detoxification. The detox may occur through emotions that surface. Oh, I can see that. This was supposed to be my year of detoxification, and I'm not sure that I've given that the proper attention that I should. And so I think this is very appropriate card to be the card that I ended up reading, even if it wasn't the first one I pulled. And I think that there is, in fact, for many years, I felt that crying can be a form of detoxification, and I have not made enough space for myself to do that. All right, the detox may occur through emotions that surface, inexplicable pains or aches in the body, a feeling of tiredness for no particular reason, and a need to rest or the urge to meditate more, do healing, go for swims in the ocean, attend yoga class, or even change the way you are eating and sleeping. These are natural intuitive impulses that confirm your soul is going through a cleansing process as it brings more of its purity into expression in the physical plane. So what I end up wondering is which is the same thing I've wondered with other decks similar to this, other oracle decks. If I'm going to be reading the same thing over and over again with each card, like if there are many cards that focus on purification. But I don't know yet, and I won't know until I kind of read the whole guidebook through and get a feel for it. Kuan Yin speaks as the soul of the sacred river Yangtze. Now and guides you to be kind to yourself during these changes and to honor your inner guidance as your own inner light grows stronger. Trust the flowing changes of the sacred river through your life. You may observe that people are even more attracted to your light during such time and in the period following this shift in your light quotient. You are holding more light in your being and without the old. So this is getting into things I don't have a strong belief in. But anyway, I believe that people do kind of have an inner essence that kind of shows through, but here we go. You are holding more light in your being, and without the old veils covering your inner light, your soul is able to shine through matter, stronger than ever before. Some people will be attracted to these changes in you, and your relationships will grow and improve. There might be some that are fearful of the changes. Keep firm boundaries that are loving, and don't worry about any extra attention you will receive. Your light is not just growing brighter, it is growing stronger too, and you will be ready to handle any situation that comes to you with joy, grace, and effectiveness. Be kind and patient, stay true to yourself, and trust that spiritual growth serves all. So that finishes the longer portion of this. And although it did kind of cue me with that emotional stuff, I don't think I would have needed to read all of that. So now I'm going to read what is the healing in the sacred river Yangtze. Imagine that, so this is, I guess, is a ceremony or meditation. So there's this healing, and then on the next page there's a prayer. Imagine that you are standing near a beautiful river composed of light and sound. It shimmers with love, peace, and beauty. You just want to be as close to it as you can because you feel so good to be near it. Because it feels so good to be near it. Imagine stepping into the river and allowing rainbows of light and sound to wash through you. Excuse me again. Cleansing you inside and out. The water is clean and pure, filled with ancient power and majesty. As you step out of the river, you notice that you are now clothed in a new, fresh robe of silk in whatever color feels right for you. When you are ready, open your eyes. So the prayer at the sacred river Yangtze. Kuan Yin, divine ancient river mother, Was she a river mother? Anyway, divine ancient river mother, sacred soul of the Yangtze, I receive the spiritual waters of your cleansing and illumination now. Bless my path and my process with your mercy and potency. May I reveal and realize myself in a new way now, without fear or attachment to the past. May I allow the sacred river to chart my course, carving out my highest divine destiny and path now. For of my own free will, so be it. Om Mani Padme Hum. So there it is. The Kuan Yin Oracle with lots of glare from my overhead light. And yeah, I'm going to give it a chance, and we'll see what it does for me. All right, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.